All right, what's up everybody? OJ here. Welcome to another video. This is pretty much breaking news as of the time that I am recording this video. We are having a live stream for it, and I want to discuss a recent update for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet from Nintendo. So over on the official Twitter page, Nintendo of America had this to say. They said a software update for hashtag Pokemon Scarlet and Violet version 1.1.0 will be released on December 1st. So December 1st, that is tomorrow as of the time that I'm recording. So today, if you're watching it on the same day that I upload it, we take feedback from players seriously and will continue to work on improvements to the games. So they're not talking about other games. They're talking about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, in my recent video that I did on this channel, I talked about when we can expect a patch. And I said that, hey, we should be able to get a patch for this game in December. I'm hoping something is announced in November or December and it's a hot fix. So we get stuff that's like, let's say they fix the crashing, they fix some of the issues, they fix, you know, different things that are going on, like the hot fix stuff, right? Stuff that you can fix kind of quickly by looking at the games and saying, okay, we need to do this. Now, performance is a whole nother beast, right? Performance, you're gonna have to spend a bit more time. I don't think that they're gonna be able to get the performance of this game like super good or a lot more stable this quickly because the game just launched a couple weeks ago, right? I mean, maybe there's something, but what this says, especially that last part, is that we take the feedback from players seriously and will continue to work on improvements to the games. This is exactly the reason why, if you've watched any one of my videos for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I say, hey, the games are fun, but they need some updates. They need some patches. This is not something that you can just say, we're just gonna leave it alone and let it go and not fix that. Because between this game, because there was some people saying, hey, well, you know, before in the past, they didn't do anything. Well, the difference is that before in the past, the games didn't run quite like this. Now, the graphics weren't as good, you know what I'm saying? Or the graphics were obviously bad. They're not great graphics for Pokemon games, but the difference was that the performance wasn't as bad as this compared to, like, let's say Pokemon Legends Arceus, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And yes, the wild area did have some issues, but from what I remember, they did patch that up a little bit to run better, and most of the game wasn't in the wild area. That was just some parts. A lot of the routes ran just fine. Whereas Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has frame rate issues pretty much all throughout, like whether you're in the, you know, in the gym areas or whether you're just around, there's just frame rate issues constantly. So you can't just ignore all of that. There was no way. And they didn't ignore all the glitches and issues that Pokemon Sword and Shield was having. They fixed a number of bugs and problems, and I think that they smoothed things out a little bit. They didn't mention it too much, but I felt the game played a bit better after a number of the patches. You know, that's just my personal opinion, but I don't have Digital Foundry stuff hooked up and all that. So for me and them announcing this is like a W. This is a major W for like gamers out there and for the fans that actually said something. If you didn't say anything, or if you said everything was just fine, I mean, come on now. Like, this is why you've got to say something. You got to say it respectfully, though. I think in my vids, in terms of it, you know, Nintendo, I'm a Nintendo content creator, I'm a Nintendo ambassador, so they give me review codes and stuff. I think that they're looking at the videos, guys. So when you have these content creators like myself and many other Nintendo content creators say like, hey, the game is fun, but it has X, Y, and Z, they're listening to all that. So I'm super glad. I'm pretty sure they saw my videos where I talk about how great the games are. But if you sell 10 million copies in 3 days and then you leave it that way, do you want to have long-term sales or not? And that was my argument and what I was discussing on the Spawncast. Like, Nintendo can't just leave it that way. They've got to respond in some way, shape, or form, because the performance of this for a game, like, it's worse than we've seen, you know, for many of their other games, you know, and this is a Nintendo game. So that's why I was pretty sure that they would do something, that they would update this in some way, shape, or form to fix some of the problems. But I love the fact that they said we take the feedback from players seriously and we'll continue to work on improvements to the games. Like, that's awesome. Now, obviously you can be pessimistic about that and you can say, hey, you know, they're not going to do anything with performance, they're just going to leave it the same. But I mean, that would be almost like lying at this point if they did that, because that's one of the biggest issues with the game. It's not just the crashing and glitches and all that type of stuff, right? It's also the performance. So to me, it means the performance. It means improving that. Like, it means like, hey, stabilizing the frame rate and things like that. Like, that's what this means, right? Like, I would be upset if it means, okay, well, the game's just not gonna crash on you. Like, no, we need to see the game run at a decent clip. Like, 720p, 30 frames per second isn't a lot. And that's what I said in my videos. Like, that's not a lot to ask for. And Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, look, the graphics aren't the best in the game either. You know, it's not like this game has like super dope, crazy good graphics. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a pretty intensive game, right? Because it has to stream or load all the Pokemon in the open world and all the different stuff. Like, there's a bunch of Pokemon running around and doing different things. Like, that stuff obviously isn't going to run on a super potato, right? Like, you can't run that on like, on like a PS1 or something. You're not going to have that level of fidelity and all that. But at the same time, like, we've seen what the Switch can do. And we know that the Switch can do, even with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, if they had more time, it can do a locked or very close to being locked 30 frames per second, variable, frame rate, flexible frame rate, anywhere between 900p or something, 720p. Like, it can do that. And we shouldn't have too many issues. Heck, Pokemon, what was it? Pokemon Legends did that, right? And they had pretty good graphics and everything. Yes, there wasn't as many Pokemon out in the open, and it wasn't as dynamic because it wasn't a true open world, like, and all that, like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But I still felt that there was, more that this game could do, which is why I mentioned it in every single video. But this is incredibly good to see Nintendo say this. Like, I am over the moon with Nintendo announcing this on Twitter so soon after the launch. I mean, it came out, what was it? It hasn't even been out for 2 weeks. The game came out on the 18th, and so 1 week was the 25th. So it'll be 2 weeks on Friday. So it's a little bit before 2 weeks, and we've got an update out even before the 2 week mark. That's awesome. That is good. I was told that they're going to drag their feet. I saw people saying that it's not going to happen. Like I said, I had people attacking me, here and there about certain things because I was defending, Game Freak and all that. But this was not an acceptable level for a Pokemon game. Even if it's, Pokemon and people give them a pass, or we say, hey, like, it's okay, based on things, like, it's not an acceptable level, which is why I stated it in every single video that I made. And I'm really happy that that they're going to be addressing some of this stuff. I think that the crashes are obviously super bad, right? You got to get rid of those. Like, the crashes and the bugs and the issues, that's the first thing that I think that they're going to fix. But the other things need to be fixed too. I think that performance needs to be fixed up, and they're going to continue looking at that. And the reason why I say that, it's like, listen, if you look at Pokemon Sword and Shield, right? Like, that game was patched like 7 times or whatever the case is over the course of like a year or so, and like, they fixed a number of things. I think that if Pokemon Sword and Shield had as bad as frame rate issues as this game, or let's say Pokemon Legends Arceus had as bad as frame rate issues as this game, they would have addressed that more, in my opinion. This game, it sells way better than all the other Pokemon games. In the first 3 days, sets a Nintendo record, damn near video game record period, for a singular system, right? Sets these records. Like, there's no way you can't get this done. So there needs to be multiple patches. Like, it's not just going to be one patch that fixes everything. It's going to be a Cyberpunk situation where they're constantly, patching the game, or we're going to get multiple patches to get this thing fixed up, or to get this thing ready to go, at a decent rate. But like I said, they don't have as far to go as Cyberpunk. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have as much to go with it. Like, with the Pokemon graphics, the way that the game looks, like, to me, solid, like I said, 720p, 30 frames per second, and everyone's happy. Not everyone, but that's good enough to where there just isn't lag and like skips and like, like, one of the issues that I felt with the game, and I talked about this in my like preview that I did for it in my impressions. Like, there was times, and I showed this, right? There's wall morphing when you play in docked. There's like times like where you go and like it hitches, where it just is like a hard hitch, like that type of stuff needs to go. I hope in the hotfix that type of stuff is gone, right? Hard hitching when you're running out in the open world or on, your legendary, that type of stuff is needs to be fixed. So I'm hoping that this does that. Like, Pokemon Sword and Shield didn't have as much to do when it comes to the performance of the game. It was clearly better based on the Digital Foundry and everybody that's tested the frame rates and all that. And it did do a number of patches to fix things up from a technical performance, right? So they did look at that. Even though Pokemon Sword and Shield sold like crazy, it was breaking every record back then, all right, guys? Pokemon Sword and Shield is the second best-selling Pokemon game of all time. A lot of people don't realize that. It's the second best-selling game, and they still patched it up and fixed a number of things and did stuff. It's still not incredible, but they still did it. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold damn near half, okay? Going on almost half, 40% of what Sword and Shield did, the second best-selling Pokemon game of all time. They've got to address this, especially if they want long-term sales. You can't leave this game in the state that it's in. You just can't. So I'm happy that Nintendo listened to that feedback. People got on them about it. Jordan Fringe talked about this on the Spawncast, like people should be saying something. I agreed with them on that, and I said that this game needs a patch. I rejected people saying that they weren't gonna do anything because this game needs a patch. I'm gonna keep on saying it. Every time that I talk about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I say, yo, this game needs some fixes. And like I said, I'm a Nintendo content creator. They're not gonna listen to me in terms of everything, but I'm pretty sure like when I make my videos, somebody out there watch them to make sure I put like, I make sure I do everything, like if I get a free game, I say free game, hashtag free game and all that, right? So they're definitely looking at that. So they see what the creators are saying. They see what people are saying, right? They don't always address everything, but it's something that needed to be addressed. This is something that needed to be addressed. It needed to be addressed, and I'm happy that that was started. Now, I think that we can start kind of looking at where else this is going to go from here. I talked about this. I predicted that, when can we get that patch, right? It's on the channel where I made that video. It actually wasn't too long ago. I do want to show you guys, just for the people that are maybe new and maybe they think I'm capping or something like that, right? Like on the homepage, like we saw that, I did cover this not too long ago. So right here, yeah, that was 3 days ago on Sunday. Here's when we could expect a major patch on the Nintendo Switch. And what I did with this video right here is that I actually looked at what they did with Sword and Shield and said that, hey, maybe we should get a major patch maybe in January and maybe some hot fixes in like November or December. So it looks like maybe that's it. We get a patch in early December, we get another patch in late December, and then we get a big patch in January. Now, I wish that all this could have just been done beforehand, but you know what? Considering, where this game, the state is, I'll take it. I'll take it because it needs it. Like it really, really, really does need it. So this is quite possibly the best thing that I've seen. And I'm super, super, super happy. Like I said, no hate towards, any of my boys on the Spawncast. Hell, everyone's been wrong, or heck, we still need to wait and see what they do after the patches, right? So this could all still blow up in some people's faces, right? But regardless, it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. That does not matter. Like what matters is that Nintendo said, we take feedback from players seriously, and we will continue to work on improvements to the games. And they also stated that they got a patch coming today, December. That is something important. Thank you for listening to that feedback. But once again, you're selling, it's $60. It's not like it's free. So it's something that we should expect at the same time. But I'm just happy that that was said and they got to it. They waited till the patch was ready. I think that announcing the patch before it's ready isn't a good idea, because obviously Nintendo could have announced it like, hey, we're working on a patch. But I think that announcing the patch and then releasing it right away was the best thing to do. That was the way to go. So you don't have people saying, oh, well, it's taking them this and that, or when's the patch coming, whatever the case is, right? Like the fact that they actually had the patch ready to go and saying, hey, they put out an announcement, drop it the next day, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So this is a hot fix. This is definitely a hot fix and a planned patch with Season 1. So this is not really going to fix really anything at all when it comes to the performance of the game, but they're letting us know that it is coming in the future. So that's what, like in my video, I said, hey, maybe January is when we get that big, first performance patch, or maybe even December, we get a small one, then we get a bigger one. So that's what I was thinking. It looks like it's working out right now, but we'll see how everything kind of works out for overall. So yeah, this is good. This is definitely a good thing. Like I said, I don't care who was right or wrong when it comes down to what people were saying, if they're going to fix the game or not. I don't care. All I care about is that they listen to the feedback and that they're saying it right here, and they have promised to fix it based on us paying the money, right? So we've paid, we've let our voices be heard, and they say that they're going to fix some stuff. They say that they're going to improve the performance, and they understand, like, hey, look at this. So that's what's important. That's the good thing. So what do you guys think about this when it comes to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and a performance patch, and Nintendo having some humility here with this game and realizing that probably for the next Pokemon games, you can't be doing this. Like, something's got to change. You can't have this type of thing because there was so many negative videos and stuff being said. So it makes sense. It makes sense that they came out and had this to say. And of course, we'll fix the performance, or at least help out the performance and improve it based on it. So that's very good. So what do you guys think about this? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I appreciate it. And we will see you guys for the next one.